Rhonda Rogers. I am 70 years old and I live in San Diego, California. I was initially diagnosed with polymyositis in 2003, and that changed to IVM 12 years later. I'm a support group leader for TMA, and I'll be sharing my own experience, plus what I've heard from other group members. Actually, it was several years before I was diagnosed with TM first. I had been regurgitating, and I didn't know what that was about. It seemed very odd to me. And so I went to my GP, and she recommended a swallow study. I did have that, and the results were sort of inconclusive and kind of like no big deal. I know the conventional wisdom is that dysphagia seems to appear later on in the IBM diagnosis, but I'm not quite sure that that is the case with me. And I've certainly been surprised with the other stories that I've heard. One patient, dysphagia was the first symptom that she had, and that could have been the case with me. What led to being diagnosed with IBM by an ENT 10 years after she initially sought help. One woman in a support group meeting I recently held had even had 3 esophageal dilations before she was diagnosed with IBM, and I find that to be shocking. Considered to be mild dysphagia. And I do notice that it seems to change with the consistency of the food that I eat. Other people that I've talked to said it is quite severe. And I know in many cases, patients do resort to a feeding tube because they simply are not able to get enough nutrition. I also found in my experience talking to others that even DM patients can experience some dysphagia. So I don't think it's even limited to IVM alone. I myself, a common complaint among many IVM patients is that they have challenges with mucus, especially at night. And for me, it greatly affects my quantity and my quality of sleep. In diet are common for most people who experience dysphagia. Often unconsciously, they sort of tailor what they eat. I myself tend to eat more hamburger than I do steak these days. Bread, which I love, is sometimes an issue for me. However, I do not have the challenges that many people with IBM seem to experience, which is with dairy. I myself have never met an ice cream that I didn't like. Typical challenges are eating smaller pieces of food, cutting things up, slow chewing, drink water with each taste. I am often the slowest eater in the room. However, Mucinex, which has been offered to me as a possible treatment, is something I avoid due to I have the additional diagnosis of Sjogren's disease. I myself am a rather unusual case in that I have bilateral Bell's palsy, so it has greatly affected my speech. I did not have a typical recovery. But there are other patients that the quality of their voice has sounded different. And I think, it really bothers them. Also, since voice activation is such a big deal these days, Siri and Alexa typically don't understand me. And certainly when I run into an issue with my bank, my voice is my password. It doesn't work. And I have to try and get out of that phone loop as quickly as possible.